You could make the point that since winning the World Championship in such fine style in early May 2023, Brecel's best showing was in this tournament last season. Beat Ali Carter and Mark Allen. Performed reasonably well in the final also, but succumbed 5-2 to Ronnie O'Sullivan.
And that was the danger with the shot that Luca just played. You're never quite sure where the object ball is going to finish. So chance again for Kyren to get in. Fully committing, dead weight. He's lost the cue ball. Just potted that red thin. Just watch where this red goes into the pocket. Right into the side, which meant he lost the cue ball there.
Yeah, if he pots that on the thick side or into the centre of the pocket, he holds on the black reasonably comfortably.
Kyren Wilson, 1.
Well, there's quite a lot of traffic down this right side, so it may be worth Luca taking one of these reds onto this right corner, trying to screw right back to the balk area. Well, he's dumped the cue ball. Just playing the containing shot. Surprises me a little bit that he's usually so aggressive, Luca. I thought it was a chance to go for that red into right corner, screw back, you'd be guaranteed to be on the green.
Yeah, I'm with you. I do think, though, that's an encouraging sign because it shows he means business. And in his mind, he believes he can win this match and win the tournament. And I don't think that's been the case very often since that Crucible triumph, because his foot was taken off the gas. Now he's back doing what he should be doing, which is potting balls, preparing well, and that will lead to a wholesale improvement in fortunes.
Yeah, once again, Kyren not able to find that balk cushion. So hand on table, this time Luca will be going for this red.
I thought the interview with Mark Allen after his match was really interesting. He was saying he's never felt pressure like that before, chasing that $1 million. And when you think, whoever makes that 167 here, as Wilson gets in, whoever makes that 167 will earn more in one frame than either Wilson or Brecel did for winning at the Crucible.
Yeah, it's hard to really fathom just what the guys will be going through if they get close to that 167. I think we'll be in bits in the commentary box watching, but what they must be feeling out there is something else. And just quickly on that 167 attempt from Mark Allen, I did think when that black fluked in that yellow pocket and he developed the safe red and they had a little giggle about it in the arena, I just thought, has that maybe just extinguished any adrenaline, any tension out there in the arena? I thought it was a really good chance, but you know, he said after that in his interview that he was still feeling the pressure. It just goes to show.
Yeah, and let's not forget the missed black from Allen came when he reached 65. Only 65. What about if he gets to 120, or anyone gets to 120? And they have the yellow on, and it's a realistic prospect. They could become a dollar millionaire.
Anyway, that's all history now. Right back to the present time, and Kyren Wilson has earned himself a good chance. back in amongst them. Red's nicely spread.
$16. 17.
Since Barry Hearn took the reins of snooker, it's been an unqualified success, as you might imagine, given his legacy in sports over the years. And I think one of the reasons it's been so successful, snooker, is because the tournaments these days have such variety. There's always some kind of storyline, some narrative. Qualifying for the World Grand Prix, the Players' Championship, the Tour Championship, getting into the Champion of Champions if you win an event. Here, of course, all the talk is of the 147. Every event has its own unique identity. Well, Kyren Wilson, arguably the greatest player in the world with the rest, finds difficulty using the spider.
Yeah, I'm really surprised at the shot that he played a few moments ago. Kyren Wilson took a little bit of a risk. It was a calculated risk, a gamble from himself. He thought, I can't fail to be on a red, but he went into a little cluster of 4 by the pink. Didn't have to play that shot. And ultimately it went wrong, but he's not been punished.
Wilson will like what he's seeing here. It's been a sketchy start from Luca Brecel.
And I think this is going to be a bit of a theme of this match, Phil. I think if you got $1 for every time Kyren Wilson had the cue ball clean tonight, you might be able to get the tees in.
Well, I actually made myself ill in the car on the way here because you might recall, Stephen, we had 4-0 whitewashes yesterday, and I said to you, if we have 4 whitewashes today, I'll give every member of the crew £5. And after I'd said it, I thought, I'm under pressure now. Thankfully, it was 1-1 in the first match, and all of that pressure dissolved away.
I've never seen you so happy when Mark Allen levelled things up at 1 each.
It has been said I'm close to a pound note. I'm even closer to a fiver.
14. 15.
So surely now Kyren going to be putting the finishing touches to this opening frame. These first frames very, very important.
22.
It's key to try and get off to a good start in these matches. And okay, it's not been clean cut from Kyren Wilson, but ultimately he's going to get the job done.
And in a strange way, I think it's actually better for Wilson to win a frame in this way, because he's got an insight into the fact that,
30.
initially at least, Brecel's struggling.
Yeah, he's missed a couple of half chances, hasn't he, Luca? But not just that, the shot selection for me, there's been a couple of times where he could have attacked. He would have definitely done that last night, and he did. Seems like he's got a slightly different game plan this evening. Of course, it's still very early days. We'll find out more as this match progresses. But that is no doubt Luca Brecel's strength. When he attacks, he's a heavy scorer, and he can win frames very quickly. If he's going to win this match against the world champion, that's what he has to do.
44. Total was 44 and the first frame.
No fireworks, but a break of 44 seals the opening frame for the defending world champion. Only the elite find themselves in contention for the Riyadh Season Snooker Championship. Already today, quarter-final day. We've seen world number 4, Mark Allen, progress. Now world number 2, Kyren Wilson has made an encouraging start against Luca Brecel. For him, it's a case of 1 down, 3 to go. Can't find inspiration yet.
Yeah, great control from Kyren Wilson there. Good pot to left corner. Look at where he's left his cue ball as well. Had the red not have gone in, wasn't leaving anything easy for Luca. So a chance to get right back in the business end of the table. And now he can go to work around the black spot.
6.
I think the last shot, the red was an indication of just how well he's cueing, because he didn't blast the red in. He timed it so well. He got all the purchase on the cue ball he needed to be on the correct side of the blue. And that's when a player feels as though, yeah, I'm in the groove, when they do that kind of thing. Timing.
Yeah, when you're in the heat of battle and you're out there in the arena, you know, having something to fall back on, something to rely on when you're in the big moments is just priceless, really. And Kyren Wilson completely backs his own cue action. It's something that he's honed and worked on so hard throughout his career. That very straight action he's got, really pronounced feathers as he comes backwards and forwards, gets the cue moving, knows exactly what's happening as he's about to come through, fully backs himself. So he's got 1 loose red available after this one next to the black. It may be wise to try and find an angle off the black now to attack those reds. If not, he can pop red-black, then the loose red, find the angle off the next colour, possibly the blue.
21.
Now the pink is beneath the reds. Straightforward access to that pack. He's got options here.
22.
Yeah, he's going high, so into the reds. Oh, and he's caught the pink absolutely plumb there. You cannot wish for a better split.
29.
It's a very difficult shot that. You have to catch that ball perfect, and look at the split.
30.
It's stock in trade to try and hit the pink and split the reds, but normally you do that off the blue when the pink's on its spot. That shot, I think it's the toughest way to split them, and they've opened up beautifully.
And I don't know many players that actually enjoy playing that type of shot, high on the black, topping off the top cushion into the back of the pack of reds. And, well, if there was an example of a perfect split, that was it. Brilliant shot from Kyren, perfectly executed.
37.
Stephen, you knew him in your junior days, you're pretty much contemporaries. Was he always on the radar? Was he always very driven, very ambitious?
38.
I'll be honest, when we first met and played as juniors, I never really knew who he was, and he was sort of just underneath the guys at the top of the English ranking list, you know, for the amateurs. And then all of a sudden, sort of the last few years before he turned pro, he was dominating the amateur circuit. He was winning everything.
45.
And clearly then I certainly knew who he was. But I remember when I played him in the juniors, he beat me in Barrett's, as I mentioned at the top of the show, and driving home I was absolutely devastated. I lost 5-4 to him, but my dad knew who he was, and he said, you know who that is? That's Kyren Wilson, you know, he's one of the best players in England. So obviously my dad knew who he was at the time, and look at where he's got, what he's gone on to do in the game. Just goes to show the hard yards that these players put in to earn their moment in the light.
Yes, and in your interview with Kyren, which we saw beforehand, he was mentioning the fact he's a family man, and that's very much the case. First time I congratulated Kyren on becoming world champion was 2 days after he'd lifted the trophy at the Crucible. He was in Telford supporting his young son Bailey, who was playing in the junior event at the UK Open Pool.
52.
The thing that impresses me the most about Kyren as well is that it just feels like he's constantly growing into this role of being a top snooker player, always learning. He's a great ambassador for the sport, and the fact he's so hungry and so dedicated, so disciplined to what he does on the day-to-day, he's always looking for those extra percents, and that's what truly makes you a great champion.
Now he's encountered a snag here, queuing over this red. This black is eminently missable. Oh, I thought he just about been accurate enough, but if you catch that near jaw, we've seen it so often. They refuse to go even at the very quiet pace he hit that.
Yeah, I played it in a bit of a clever way there, Kyren, in or over that shot for sure, making sure he didn't leave anything for Luca into this right corner pocket. That was exactly as played. Sort of buys yourself another chance. So Luca comes to the table 60 points down, 75 remaining. He's got an option to possibly plant these two reds into this right corner, but he'll certainly be playing it with an air of safety, trying to get that cue ball back into baulk. Oh, that's brilliant. What a pot from Luca, but he needs that cue ball to pull up. Oh, he would have loved to have been on the black there, or at least had access to the cushion to pot it cushion first. What a shot that was from Luca. Now this is where you have a little argument with yourself as a player. Do you try and screw the brown in and out of baulk and get on a red, or do you try and keep it tight, tickle up behind the yellow, try and get an easier opportunity? It's going to be the latter.
Reserve 1.
Yeah, he's got plenty of leeway. He's 59 behind with 67 on. So didn't have to be impatient there.
Wow, he's been so fortunate there, Kyren. He holds his hand up, and rightly so, because had he not have caught that red in the way he did, he would have left everything for Luca. Presumably at the pace he played it and how far down the cushion he came, he was just trying to push that loose red to the top cushion.
And for all the skill these guys possess, which is off the charts, luck undeniably plays a big part, doesn't it? It just does. And all of this rubbish about luck evening itself out. No, it doesn't. It does not. And even if it did numerically, it doesn't in terms of when it occurs. If you have a fluke in the first frame of a minor tournament, it's not as important as having a fluke in the last frame at the Crucible.
And the funny thing about snooker players is that you could have 100 flukes, and then as soon as your opponent has one, you forget all about the flukes that you've had. It's just the way it is. You never have any run in this game.
Speculative.
Again, though, trying to make something happen there, Luca took a gamble, knowing he was leaving nothing but the red that he missed.
Just grazed that near jaw. Good attempt. Has he got any cover? No is the answer. But this is a pressure ball.
Again, there is another type of shot that Kyren Wilson absolutely adores. Just watch this cue action. He'll stay with it the whole way. Oh, he's missed it. Well, that is a surprise.
Felt sorry for you there, Stephen, because I was equally convinced he was going to knock it in.
Yeah, usually so reliable with that type of shot. Just caught it a little bit too thick. So, chance for Luca. He's got red possibly into the middle. Ideally, though, he needs to pot this red and get down for this black and try and clear that pocket.
Did that just slightly meander off the line? It was always seemingly going towards that far jaw, and now basically frame over 2-0. Playing at a fair clip is Kyren Wilson, 19 seconds a shot. And that's why, swiftly, he's halfway to victory. He leads Luca Brecel by 2 frames to 0. The sum total of Luca Brecel's endeavours thus far, 1 point. He didn't score in the first frame, just a single red knocked in the second. Has to turn things around rapido. It really is remarkable. Even when contact is made on the golden ball, it's as though it's glued to that cushion. Never seems to move. I've seen that occur so often over the course of both tournaments now. Refuses to budge.
Yeah, and you could see Kyren there just stood in the balk area as that red was travelling close to it. Almost gave a little bit of a hip thrust to encourage the red to promote that golden ball off the cushion, but of course it makes no odds to him now, or Luca, because the chance of the 167 is gone.
Yeah, when this blue goes in, it will budge. Marcel Eckhart will pick it up and put it on the cushion. The actual cushion.
Six.
Well, is he on this red? Presumably not. No, you can see. Well, what a big mistake that was from Luca, and that purely is down to lack of table time.
6.
Had a lot of room to play with there, Luca Brecel, in potting the blue and coming down for the red. I think Kyren will enjoy seeing that type of mistake from Luca. It will certainly just add to any confidence that he's already got.
And of course, Stephen, this is in total contrast to the way Brecel played last night, which was outstanding.
Now Kyren just asking the referee to just check out the reds to the left of the pink. Is there a fine edge? Ooh, that is fine. Well, I tell you what, this needs to be pinpoint. Oh, great shot. Nothing wrong with Kyren's eyesight.
Yeah, Wilson's 33rd birthday is coming up next week, actually. And the mince pies are still working. The mince pies at Christmas.
Well, another safety error from Luca. Hand on table. Pushed the red out to this right side. Just off straight. It's a cueing shot. Oh, he's properly butchered that one. Came right across there. You could see the cue completely go off the line. Watch this shot again as he comes through to deliver the cue. Look at the movement there. Not very often you see that from Kyren Wilson.
And look again how it's all finished up. When he's been making mistakes, he's left nothing. Or something extremely risky or difficult. Stephen, as a player, it must be very frustrating when your opponent does make an error and there's no jeopardy as a result.
Yeah, and this is where your composure and temperament is truly tested as a player at any level, you know, right down to the amateur game, right up to the top. You know, how you deal with these circumstances tells you a lot about an individual. Luca can quite easily lose his head here, you know, find himself hard done by, that Kyren's having all the rubs and flicks, you know, that's part of the game. Luca has to deal with the present, and that's find a shot to play safe here. He's in trouble because of those two reds in baulk. He's got no access to them. I think if Luca was 2-0 up and Kyren had just played this shot, he'd be looking at this whole scenario in a completely different mindset. You know, you just think differently out there. But the fact he's 2-0 down, he's under pressure, you know, it's a race to 4, it's a quick fire match, and this match may be feeling like it's getting away from Luca. All of a sudden, you start to get very stressed out there.
And also, it's not just the fact that Wilson has left nothing on, he's not left a telling safety on either.
Yeah, well, that shot that Luca's played there is about as good as he could have done, really. He was trying to get the cue ball exactly back to where it was, because clearly Luca was in trouble. So had he have got that cue ball back, Kyren would have been in trouble. Not quite able to get it exactly where it was. And left attempter for Kyren Wilson, and he hasn't taken it. And it just goes to show that little bit of discipline, that little bit of patience that Luca Brecel has shown there. Ultimately, it's created this chance for him.
Yeah, Wilson 2-0 ahead with a pot success rate of 83%, which is not up there at all. Brecel's pot success rate will improve from 40. Of course, that 40% is a small sample size.
So now it's time for Luca to go to work. He's got to try and unlock this little puzzle. Very congested around this black spot. The black will pass to this left corner, but then when it's re-spotted, it will be tied up again. So a bit of problem solving to be done here. If he can pot this red and play a little cannon to the red right of the black. He hasn't taken it that time, fancied it to be too risky. Where's this cue ball? He's okay.
Well, to going off at that most acute angle would have been so cruel.
Wow, look at the cue ball there. That has absolutely exploded off the object ball.
12.
Luca looked a little bit bemused. Positionally, he's okay. Seemed to just erupt off the blue there. Massively jumped off the table. Let's have a look at this contact. Bang. Wow, you don't see that very often. This is why the referee, Marcel, is just giving that blue a bit of a polish. There'll be a pretty big mark on it because of the contact.
19.
Luca's just analysing the table here. Those two reds left and right of the black are problem balls for him if he's to get in amongst the black spot. He'd like to try and remove them as quickly as possible. That will free up the black and make this a more conventional scoring chance. So chance to possibly move one of them reds now. Can he pop this black, top the cue ball off the top cushion? Well, he's going low, so trying to screw into them.
$32. $30.
Much more promising for Luca Brecel. He's showing both resilience and fluency. But some of these contacts aren't the best, are they? I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't have any sympathy, Phil. Sorry. There's a problem. There's a problem solver out there for that.
Yeah, when I said I wonder why, I was being sarcastic.
45. 46.
Well, he's overrun, but he's overrun far enough that he's got this blue to the corner pocket. He can just top this through. He's got reds available into right corner. The top one of the two near the pink spot, or possibly the one closest to this right corner, is fine.
I think Brecel is doing really well here. Nicely crafted break, showing a lot of heart.
52.
Yeah, let's not forget this chance came from that display of discipline from Luca Brecel when Kyren put him in trouble purely down to chance. Left himself in a really awkward spot. Luca had to spend a minute or two to really think about what return to play. Kyren then subsequently missed the next ball, and this has been the result.
57.
It'll make him feel really good, this contribution, Luca Brecel, because he's had to work for it. It's not been a straightforward break. He's really had to graft. He's on the scoreboard now, and this is very much game on.
Yes, and a showcase for his terrific natural talents. Far and away the finest player that continental Europe has ever produced. Cracking shot, especially with the opposite hand. Now, Luca Brecel has only made 4 centuries all season. 2 of them came last night, so he could make 60% of his centuries here if this one works out.
80.
Don't think it has. No century, but that is a radical improvement on what had gone before. Luca Brecel very much back in the match. Played a really good frame. He trails 2-1. Quarterfinals day at the Riyadh Season Snooker Championship well underway. Kyren Wilson leads Luca Brecel 2-1. Brecel, though, will be feeling a whole lot better after winning the third frame very tidily, I thought, with a break of 83. Earlier on today, Mark Allen was 2-1 down to Mark Selby. Came through, though, 4-2. So Allen, the first player into the semi-finals, he will take on Ronnie O'Sullivan or Ding Junhui. They'll do battle later. As for Wilson or Brecel, they will play the winner of our next match, which features Judd Trump against Mark Williams in a repeat of the Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters final, the ranking event here in September, which was one of the most dramatic finishes we've ever seen to a major tournament.
And forget all the prizes on offer. The $1 million for the 167, the £250,000 first prize. No player wants to see their tapestry be lit up red, because that means they are no longer in the event. Tough school.
You know, we're talking about Luca Brecel coming back from 2-0 down. It should be no issue for him, considering that remarkable comeback he had against Si Hui on the way to winning the World Championship. So this is the draw. Yesterday we had a couple of Saudi Arabian wildcards, Abdul Rauf Saig and Ahmed Asiri up against Zhang Anda and Ding Junhui. 4-0s for the seeded players there. Then Ding and Brecel won 4-0 to get into the quarterfinals. It is quality everywhere you look. And still to come tonight, third up, it will be Judd Trump against Mark Williams, and then Ronnie O'Sullivan, the defending champion, who beat Luca Brecel 5-2 in last season's final. He will renew his rivalry, a friendly rivalry, with Ding Junhui.
Kyren Wilson.
Yeah, just talking about that Brecel fight back against Si Hui. What was it now? 19 months ago. He was 14-5 down at his lowest ebb in the semi-final. Won 17-15. That was having dispatched Ronnie O'Sullivan and Mark Williams a little earlier in the championship, and of course he went on to beat Mark Selby in the final. It was a tough route to glory, but boy, did he deserve it.
Well, that's a very nice pot that Kyren Wilson's find there. Floating the red into that right middle pocket. Chance to just play a little cannon to the reds at the back of the pack. Is the black there? No.
Kyren Wilson. 1.
Judged the cannon to absolute perfection at the expense of the pot on the black.
That near jaw gives you nothing.
And not only that, he left Luca the perfect chance to play a free shot to bring the reds into play.
Well, first glance, he's been a little unfortunate with that split.
Well, again, he's took a little gamble there, Luca, using that cluster of reds as a stopper for the cue ball. Just trying to bring more reds into play. This red to left corner, very awkward because he needs all the equipment out. So looking at one to right middle, which is just as tough.
Three choices, none of them especially palatable.
Well, he's played it nice enough there, Luca, using the red next to the blue as a stopper again for the cue ball. Yeah, well recovered. This now a great chance to level things up.
14.
The good thing about the early shots he's played in this little contribution so far is he's pretty much brought everything into play now. No more cannons required.
He's a pleasure to watch, isn't he, Luca Brecel? His own distinctive style. His own, one has to say, distinctive approach. And I was saying he's the finest player continental Europe's ever produced, which is true. Before that, the distinction went to Malta's Tony Drago. It was exactly the same. Pleasure to watch.
20.
Yeah, and he's still knocking about, Tony. He'll be at my club in town in Lincoln where I practice, Lincoln Snooker Club, doing an exhibition next weekend.
21.
Really looking forward to seeing Tony. Great player, great guy as well, isn't he? You know, he's always been so friendly, so welcoming. The few times I've met him.
Holds the record, which I can't see being beaten for the fastest ever frame in snooker,
28.
pro snooker. 3 minutes against Danny Fowler. Fowler, I believe, broke off. Drager got in with a 70-odd break. Missed. Fowler conceded. Thank you very much. Now, when you think the lengthiest frame in professional snooker history is 2 hours and 3 minutes, so there's a 2-hour disparity.
34.
The 2-hour, 3-minute final frame was in the last qualifying round for the Crucible between Dave Gilbert, who's a very fluent player and very stylish player, but he was stopped in his tracks by a good friend of ours, Stephen, Fergal O'Brien from Ireland.
And wasn't they on the yellow for about 40, 60 minutes, something daft like that? How can you even play safe for that length of time and not leave a pot?
Generally, though, at the top level now, professional snooker is fluent and easy on the eye.
40.
That was a loose one. And that's something he's prone to.
49.
Yeah, he's got into that cue ball way too much. God, he had so much room to play with there as well. He really has misjudged that. Well, if he's looking at this red to right corner, he's so close to it. It's very, very thin. God, this is so awkward. And he's got to get out of there quick as well. Had to move the cue and the rest as quick as possible.
49.
And when the balls are so close together like that, time and time again you see the object ball undercut because it's an alignment trickery. You can't get yourself to hit it as thin as you need to. Now we'll see Wilson's mastery of the rest here. Or we won't. That's a collector's item. Not just missing the red, but missing it by a long way.
Absolutely. Chalk that one up. That really was uncharacteristic from Kyren.
1.
And surely now, this is going to be the frame for Luca Brecel.
Yeah, 0 from 2 for Wilson. The first one, of course, was with the spider, so we can give him some slack there. But that one, very uncharacteristic.
8.
Well, he's done well here, Luca. He's fought back nicely. Could have let his head drop at 2-0. Things not going right. He's kept his faith. And from 2-0 down, back to 2 each. We've got a best of 3 on our hands for a place in the semi-finals. Again, that was a really well played shot. Just checking the cue ball up a fraction to avoid the pink.
Now look at the chalk marks on the table. You used to see that all the time. It was a occupational hazard. Not anymore, unless the whole chalk is being used.
Tell you what, I'd have a field day on that table, brushing that chalk out with my hand. Brilliant long red from Luca. It matters not because the frame's already over, but it's good signs. I can't even focus when there's a speck of dust on the table, Phil. Never mind all this mess.
You see, in a best of 9 frame match, which the final will be, there would be an interval after 4 frames and the table would be brushed. No interval in these best of 7s. So, Stephen, why wouldn't a player change to the town? We'll find out in the next frame, because this one is now absolutely in the books with breaks of 49 and 37. Luca Brecel, after being 2-0 down, is back on level terms. Quarterfinals day at the Riyadh Season Snooker Championship is a feast of top-class snooker. Next up, it's another battle of 2 world champions. Judd Trump practicing away with his brother there, Jack, getting the balls out of the pockets and being a great help to Judd. He's up against Mark Williams. And as we've said before, if their latest meeting gets anywhere close to the drama of their meeting here in the Saudi Arabia Snooker Masters, which Trump won in a decider with a 72 clearance from 62-0 down, we're going to have a cracker on our hands. Luca Brecel back to 2 frames each. Kyren Wilson only conceded 1 point in the first 2 frames, but the boot has been on the other foot in the next 2. He's only potted 1 red in the last couple. Brecel coming back into it with breaks of 83, 49 and 37. So the first quarter final was quite close. Mark Allen beating Mark Selby 4-2. This one is also going to run close regardless now. So as Brecel comes back into the arena, Stephen, I'll ask you the question I was going to pose before the end of the last frame. Why does he stick with the old-style chalk, which is now very much outnumbered on the tour? We were talking about players who used it during the interval between frames, and we could only think of, well, less than a handful who do.
I don't know, Phil. That's the honest answer. I don't know why the players all don't use the new chalk, because, you know, talking from experience, and obviously a lot of the other players use it, I can't find a fault with it. Maybe, you know, he's so used to using the triangle, he's happy enough with it. Played with it for so long. You know, there was a bit of a conversation in the early days about possible miscues and all that type of stuff. That's all gone now. You don't see that anymore. So I really don't know.
Yeah, I think the original town chalk was a little brittle, and that's why the miscues were occurring. I know Alan McManus, who is an absolute brain of the game, he was a long time switching over, but look here, Kyren clearly showing his disregard for all of these marks on the table.
Yeah, and I don't blame him, because that is exactly what I'd be doing as well. Because the last thing you want is when you eventually get in and get a good chance to have a heavy contact or a positional error down to the fact that you've had a heavy contact or a kick, not your fault. Cue ball can easily run over a little bit of chalk and collect that dust, create the heavy contact on impact.
I think it's fair to say that Brecel is the happier of the 2 right now, even though it's all tied up. But Wilson is made of stern stuff.
Yeah, this is now a key shot. Cue ball tight to this top cushion. Hopefully doesn't push a red near a pocket. That's pretty good.
One point we absolutely must make here, of course, it's entirely Brecel's prerogative to use what type of chalk he wants to. He feels familiarity and trust with that chalk, so fair enough.
Yeah, and to be honest, you know, if the Tower chalk all of a sudden just completely disappeared, everyone would go back to using the triangle. But it may be a psychological effect as well on the opposing player out there in the arena. When you're using that sort of chalk, and Luca will see Kyren's not happy with the table being as messy as it is and trying to brush the table. Luca will like to see that, you know, he'll be happy to see Kyren just sort of out of his rhythm, you know, for a split second, taking his attention away from the game and thinking about the table. There may be a bit of sportsmanship in that, just trying to gain that little advantage. Again, he's well within his rights to do that, Luca. He can use whatever chalk he wants.
And look at that. A total misjudgment. A pre-Christmas gift.
Well, this is such a big visit to the table for Luca Brecel now. These are very big moments in this match.
One.
Oh, and he's had an absolutely disastrous cannon to the brown. That could have finished absolutely anywhere, and look at the contact he's made. He's caught the brown half ball the wrong side. Not only that, he's landed hampered over the yellow. It's all gone wrong very quickly there for Luca.
Luca Brecel, 7.
Absolutely on point there, Brecel. He knows his opponent is wobbling a little. Why give him a cheap chance when going for a low percentage shot? Keep the pressure on. Well, the word I used for this match right at the start was intriguing, and it most certainly is now. Brecel not achieving total cover. But the pot to middle, surely too difficult to even contemplate.
Well, what a way to dig yourself out of trouble. No intention of the red going in clearly, but look at this. Red onto red. Back of the leather. Lovely stuff. And we spoke about the run of the ball at the start of the game. He didn't have much in the early parts of this game. That is a massive, massive fluke, because look at the chance.
Yeah. The two words you put together there, Stephen, lovely stuff. I don't think that would be the descriptive term Kyren Wilson would use right now. He'll be steaming. Steam coming out the ears.
Eight.
In an ideal scenario here, he'd like the pink available into all four pockets, both corners, both middles. The black's not tied up, you can see clearly, but the reds are all sort of north of it, around the blue spot, very congested. Pink would be the ideal ball to get back in open play at some stage, but plenty of work to be done. Okay, the reds are spread nicely, but this is not a straightforward chance. Needs to keep good control of his cue ball. Again, just playing into a big area there, Luca. He was always going to have the red to right corner. Had the chance of landing on the red just beneath the pink. Yeah, he's looking at this red to left corner, which is the most straightforward pot. The only concern is the position. Just again, trying to avoid all that traffic. He's played it well. Just threaded the cue ball past two reds there nicely. Again, needs very good discipline with his cue ball here. Just for a few moments. Maintain focus,
14.
Keep a good white.
Brecel's best win of the season so far. 4-3 over Ding Junhui in the last 16 of the Scottish Open last week.
15.
Considering the financial rewards on offer here and the quality of the opposition, this would be a new best win of the campaign. And he's looking good for it. This break increasing in small increments, but the point is, he remains at the table. He remains in command.
19.
Yeah, choosing to take this red, which then opens the pink up even
20.
further into another corner pocket. So this really is now a frame-winning chance for Luca Brecel. He's stepped up nicely here. He's found another gear when he's needed to. Okay, Kyren Wilson has made a few uncharacteristic mistakes, but that's not for Luca Brecel to concern himself with. He'll take those chances all day long.
28.
Sometimes the turning point in a match is obvious. This one I don't think was. It was more nuanced. It was when 2-0 up, Wilson went for a red, missed it, left nothing on, didn't leave an easy safety either. Brecel, rather than get annoyed, just stood there, took stock, kept Wilson out, eventually got his chance in the third frame, and since then everything is
34.
pivoted towards the Belgian.
Yeah, for sure. And you talk about a game of 2
35.
halves. The first 2 frames, Luca Brecel only scored a single point. Since then, the next 2.5 frames up to this point, Kyren Wilson's only scored a single point. Completely been frozen out. Not been able to get
42.
himself back in and try and lead from the front, Kyren. And now his back is
43.
well and truly up against the wall. No heroics here for Luca, just take these 2 reds in open play. This frame will be long done.
All you can do is watch. And the exercise of watching made more painful for Wilson by the fact that this break began with a fluke.
$51.
So 58 in front. The yellow is frame ball.
Just look at the work he's got on the cue ball
53.
there again. It's just effortless spin for Luca Brecel. Perfect timing of the ball. Doesn't have to overhit to get that sort of response.
54.
He's such a good cueist. Little flick to the 2 reds. No, he's just about on one.
61.
Can he just nip this red into the middle and avoid the push shot?
Foul. Kyren Wilson, 4. Luca Brecel, 61. And the frame.
The foul shot came too late to save Kyren Wilson in frame 5. What a turnaround here. Now, Luca Brecel's in front, 1 frame away from progress. There is a much used phrase in sports commentary. Form is temporary, class is permanent. Luca Brecel has got so much class when it comes to playing snooker.
Frame 6, Kyren
His form, since winning the World Championship, has been poor. But you always knew, sooner rather than later, he would figure again in the big time. And maybe it's going to be here over the next couple of days. First, though, he's got to see off Kyren Wilson, who is 1 down with 2 to play. That was really asking a lot. Very, very ambitious. The camera angle told us just how tight that potting angle was. That was pushing out the boat. Look at these stats. First couple of frames and then the next 3. To keep it on topic, it's chalk and cheese.
It really is, and it's amazing just how quickly these matches can turn around, these best of 7s. You know, even when you get to 3, you don't ever feel safe until you're over the line. And that's why it's so important to stay disciplined in the psychological department, because you've got to be aware that things can turn around quickly. Stay very present out there in the arena. And that's what Luca Brecel did in that 3rd frame.
Luca Brecel, 6.
I came back off the break with a used phrase in snooker. Here's another one. Winning is a habit. Of late, Luca Brecel has not had that particular habit. And so getting over the line here, I think will still be a little difficult for him. Even though right now he possesses all the momentum.
Yeah, he wasn't put under all that much pressure last night against Zhang Anda. Came through very comfortably. 4 big breaks. This match is a lot closer. And you do feel that Kyren will eventually ask Luca the question. He certainly won't give up. He's a battler. And that's a brilliant shot from Kyren. Deserves to be on a baulk colour here. How well's he struck that to the middle? From tight under the top cushion. That was a great pot. And look at just how positive he stayed. Back up against the wall. He hasn't shied away from the aggressive shot there, Kyren. Again, backs himself completely. And now he's earned himself a good chance.
6.
He's got the 2 reds just above and to either side of the main cluster beneath the pink. He'll be looking to take a black, one of these loose reds, and then potentially leave an angle off the next red to split the pack. Well, if he's left himself low enough, he may can bring a few more into play here.
13.
Well, he hasn't. So now he's looking for an angle off the black to then get into those reds.
14.
Yeah, he hasn't gone far enough. So he's slowly running out of options. Now it's imperative he finds an angle off his next colour. No room for error now.
21.
Well, we saw a few frames ago just how well Kyren Wilson plays this type of shot. He'll be dreaming for a split similar here. Yeah, that's good. Great shot again.
Wasn't it just?
29.
Wasn't it just? Still no guarantees, even if you go into the pack robustly, that you're going to drop on one, but Wilson has.
30.
In no way ponderous, Kyren Wilson.
35.
Still 19 seconds a shot average time taken. He's actually been a little quicker in this match than Brecel, which takes some doing. And this is one of the reasons
42.
why he's a multiple champion, Wilson. He can produce in
40.
adversity.
$50.
Oh, well,
51.
you can see the reaction from Kyren. That cue ball just completely died off the pack. So it was looking like pretty much a formality for the world champion to get this frame back to 3 each, take us to a decider, but he's going to have to work for it now because that's end of break.
Kyren Wilson, 51.
So easy when you're overcome with disappointment to play the safety shot that follows a loss of position quickly and loosely. Wilson did not. Good cue ball and the yellow safe as intended.
Well, he's just having a look at this red to left middle, Kyren. It's a tempter. The fact that Luca hasn't got the cue ball close to this top cushion may be enough, but he isn't tempted. Doesn't want to gift an easy opportunity back to the Belgium.
Wilson doesn't want every ball on the table awkward because he needs some to get over the line himself, but if he can mess it up to a certain degree, that's very much to his advantage.
Yeah, there is a red available to right corner for Luca, the one just beneath the pink, but it's risky because he may not have a route back to balk. Oh, he's tried it anyway. Oh, it's a good pot, but now he's wishing that he is on a colour.
1.
That's always the problem with that type of shot. You sort of play it half-heartedly, knowing that you're going to get a good cue ball back on the balk cushion. When you see the red going, you want the cue ball to pull up.
Can't fault that logic. Okay, the 2 extra bonus points on the fluke on the yellow, but getting it off the cushion, that was so important.
3.
Again, another bit of a touch that for Luca. He's got Kyren's insurance back in open play, and now he's just got to find a good safety shot. No pots available. He'd love to pretty much get the cue ball back to where it is now, but in a line towards that balk cushion. If he can get it somewhere near there, Kyren will be in trouble. No, he's caught it a little thin.
Luca Brecel, 3.
Luca Brecel was craning to see that particular shot, looking over his opponent's shoulder. Heavily invested in this match. Is Brecel. He badly wants to win it. He badly wants to get back into the spotlight.
Well, he's got no shots really down the left side of the table here, Luca. Well, can he see enough of this? Well, he decided to attack. He could see just enough of it to pot it.
Two awkward reds taking the pressure off Wilson. And, of course, this one to middle.
One.
A deciding frame for the first time in the tournament is very much looming.
6.
And this will be the first time a match between these two has gone the distance.
7. $13.
He didn't do it in one visit, Stephen, but I think you have to applaud Wilson for just winning the frame in any way.
Yeah, and one thing you can always expect from Kyren Wilson is that he will never give up. He'll always dig deep right until that last ball is potted.
He's not cueing at his straightest. That is apparent. But nevertheless, he's taken this match to the wire.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Kyren Wilson 3, Luca Brecel 3, all on frame 7, coming up shortly. The Riyadh Season Snooker Championship is really warming up. We know that Mark Allen is already into the semi-finals with that 4-2 win over Mark Selby earlier today. Now, Kyren Wilson and Luca Brecel have gone all the way in their quarter-final. Just they decided to come anyone's guess who will prevail and take on either Judd Trump or Mark Williams in the last 4. As for the last match on this evening, it is China's Ding Junhui against the incomparable Ronnie O'Sullivan, who happens to be the title holder in this particular tournament. Next up, Judd Trump against Mark Williams, and basically that will be straight afterwards. There's Williams. What a season, Stephen Hallworth, that the old fella is having.
Yeah, he's an absolute legend of the game, isn't he, Mark Williams? He's one of my favourite players just to watch. Absolute pleasure to be watching him live in this arena, in this big event. Of course, lifted the Champion of Champions not long ago. Brilliant player, always will be.
Yes, and earlier in 2024, he won the Tour Championship in brilliant fashion. So Kyren Wilson has been out of the arena for quite some time. Clearly trying to get his thoughts in order, because clarity of thought in deciders, it's invaluable.
Thanks, guys. Back into the deciding frame, Luca Brecel to play.
So these two playing a frame to guarantee themselves at least £75,000. That's the winner, with the opportunity to win £250,000 and maybe the 167 down the line.
First chance at a long red here for Kyren. Can he just drop this in around the back of the black? Oh, close. Head on the side of caution. If you're going to miss that shot, miss it thin. That way you'll always get the cue ball somewhat in the safe area.
Potting from distance not as good as it normally is for Wilson. He's knocked in 2 of 7.
Now Luca just weighing up his options here. Possibly the containing shot. Just making sure he doesn't leave that red next to the black into the left corner. That's okay. But he has left the tempter into the yellow pocket for Kyren. And it's a shot that he certainly won't be refusing now. Deciding frame. Chance to win the match. But again, a long way away. And worse yet, he's left the red.
Wilson has repeatedly failed on cueing shots, and that's normally a forte, a real strength. A strength today has become a weakness.
One.
So taking the more difficult green purely for positional purposes there, trying to get on this red on the blue spot, and he's played it well. That way he can now pop the blue at some stage, get it back on its own spot, possibly attack the pack of reds. He's got so many options here.
Five.
Red on the screen if you want to put it up. Just thinking a few shots ahead. Luca Brecel here, trying to plan his route. That red next to the black is a possible problem ball. If he can land on that at some stage, it frees the black up into both corner pockets.
10. $11. Got a flash on your camera,
coming
mate.
round
Thank you.
just to have a look at that red. Pot this blue, travel down the right side of the pack. He's got two reds he could land on. He wants to be on the one next to the black, though.
Well, Stephen, you accurately
16.
described this red as a problem ball. It's about to be problem solved.
Yeah, now he's
17.
perfect. He's high on this black. He can land his cue ball low on that red at the back of the pack. Free shot to bring more reds into play. These next two shots are key. If he gets this shot right, he could be away here, Luca. Needs that cue ball to just pull up, and I don't think it has. There you
24.
see the disappointment from Luca Brecel. He now doesn't have that free shot option. Well, he's tried to power it in, but he was never really going to get the reds moving from there.
25.
Well, at least he's got one out.
Yeah, and the trouble is, a few shots ago, when he didn't land
30.
on that red at the back of the pack low to bring the reds into play, he's just chasing this breaker fraction now in terms of how to go about getting into those reds. Every shot carries a lot of pressure in terms of where he lands his cue ball. Has to find an angle off this red to get into them. Yeah, and that's no good. And this has all come as a byproduct from that poor positional shot a few moments ago.
31. Thanks. Luca Brecel, 31.
It's a useful lead in a decider, but it's far from decisive.
Extremely important safety exchange coming up now for Kyren Wilson. Nothing is safe. He can play an aggressive shot here to bring reds into play. Just needs to be careful that he doesn't push one towards a corner pocket. Well, that's pretty good. Great length.
Caught those incorrectly. Could have left something easier than this. Okay, the red's in the general vicinity of the pocket, but it is not simple. No way, no how.
It's such a tough pot, this, because he's travelling across the nap of the table, having to play it at such a pace, probably to hold for the black. He may try and top this across the face of the black, but that makes the pot more difficult. He'll be leaving a red to middle surely for Luca. This is a big shot. Oh, that is a brilliant pot from Kyren Wilson. Look at how confidently he's played it. He deserves to be on something and he isn't.
And the reason isn't. You watched the bounce off the last cushion. It was rather springy. Not that cushion, the next one. That will annoy Wilson immensely because conditions here generally have been absolutely superb.
Kyren Wilson, 1.
The kind of tension that can only be created by a deciding frame finish in a big tournament. Wilson couldn't do a great amount there to put Brecel in trouble. He was just looking for containment, but I don't think he's achieved it.
One.
Yeah, mini mistake from Kyren there, leaving that as a tempter. Wanted that red to travel further up the table. Great pot from Luca, and a fairly favourable cannon to the brown. He can screw this cue ball back out of baulk. Look at the side spin. Plenty of bottom right-hand side on that just to reverse the cue ball off the side cushion. Effortless cue power once again. Oh, he's played that very, very well. Now, this probably, or potentially match ball, just float this blue in. He'll be on a number of reds to left corner.
With every ball that goes into the pocket, it's looking increasingly bleak for the current world champion. But hang on a minute.
Luca Brecel, 11.
What a break for Kyren Wilson. We did not see that one coming, Stephen.
Wow, what a mistake this is from Luca. He's just got himself absolutely perfect back in amongst them. And then just taking his eye off that pot. Well, that will really hurt, and only really hurt if Kyren can punish him. Well, what a finish to this match we've got.
And there's not an awkward ball in sight.
Well, this is a delicate little one coming up for Kyren here. He's landed slightly low on this black, so may just use that little cluster of 3 south of the pink just to hold the cue ball. Or can he just float it through, find the gap, and play for the red to left corner above the pink? That's what he's tried, but he's missed the black.
The pressure of a deciding frame. Snooker's last 2 world champions both missing balls they would normally knock in as second nature. The Reds literally lined up. But all Brecel needs is 1 red and a colour.
Yeah, and these are just the emotions that you go through as a player out there. Luca's stomach and heart would have absolutely sunk when he saw him miss that red a few moments ago. He'd have been fearing the absolute worst sat in his seat. And a minute or so later, he's back at the table and he's got this black pretty much as frame ball. Frame and match ball. He's done well considering. 2-0 down, back up against it. He's shown us some good qualities that we haven't seen all that much of this season.
And as for Kyren Wilson, he will not be a happy camper. Luca Brecel's happy place is the Global Theatre in Boulevard City. Runner-up in this tournament last season, earlier this year, and now back in the semi-finals again. There were green shoots of recovery on display in Edinburgh last week at the Scottish Open. But in terms of prize money, in terms of who he's beaten, this is Brecel's best result of the season. Made even better by the fact he fought hard from 2-0 down. And smooth as silk, easy when the pressure's off. It's good to see him back, Stephen.
It is. He's a great player, isn't he, Luca, on his day? He really is one of the most naturally gifted players we have in the game. Big week this for me in terms of Luca's season going ahead. Starting to feel like he belongs right back at the top of the game again, and this is why.
Doesn't bother with the black. Luca Brecel defeats Kyren Wilson by 4 frames to 3. last year's world champion overcomes the current champion in a decider. Both had chances in the end, though. Wilson missed the black, and Brecel took his second opportunity. He's into the semi-finals. Well, lots happened in that match. Let's not forget that Luca Brecel only potted one red in the first two frames. It looked at one point like being a routine win for Kyren Wilson, but then things changed entirely. As for the decider, both had an opportunity, but in the end it was heartbreak for Wilson. And after missing that red, it was total relief for Luca Brecel because Wilson jawed the black. So, the results so far today: from 2-1 down, Mark Allen beat Mark Selby 4-2. From 2-0 down, Luca Brecel overcame Kyren Wilson 4-3. But we're only halfway through the quarterfinal story at the Riyadh Season.